spent some time looking at THANET Clinical Commissioning Group. It was set up on the 1st of April, like the other 211 across the country. The Clinical Commissioning Group's got a budget of £190 million a year to procure health services for the people of THANET. That's a budget that's much larger than THANET councils. There's 10 people on the board, and out of those 10, half of them have got conflicts of interest that are very large and very significant. First of all, the lay member of the Clinical Commissioning Group is a man called Dominic Carter. Mr. Carter's day job is an IT salesperson for a company called Mastech UK Limited. This is a large multinational IT company. One of the big products that his company produces is IT software packages that are directed towards clinical commissioners. So it does seem rather strange that someone who is on the board of a clinical commissioning group, who's there 2 days a month, gets somewhere in the region of about £10,000 a year for those 2 days per month, I believe, is also a very senior member of staff of a company that actually produces and markets software for clinical commissioners. In my book, that's a massive conflict of interest. Also as well, Mr. Carter is there as the board member for patient engagement. And that really means empowering patients, speaking on behalf of patients at the Clinical Commissioning Group, and that does require a knowledge of local health issues. Now, Mr. Carter lives in Canterbury. We've got lots of issues specific to THANET, especially poverty, deprivation and the impact that has on people's health. If you don't live in THANET and you don't have experience of the THANET community, I don't see how you could be on the Clinical Commissioning Board making judgments about patient engagement and the needs of patients. So again, that's another reason why I think Mr. Carter should be excluded with immediate effect from the Clinical Commissioning Group. And what we should have on the Clinical Commissioning Group is a lay member for patient engagement who has no conflicts of interest whatsoever, who doesn't work for a firm that's likely to be selling its services to the Clinical Commissioning Group, and who is also a local person with a knowledge of the health issues that face local people in THANET. The other worry I have is that 4 of the doctors, beginning with the chairman of the Clinical Commissioning Group, Dr. Tony Martin, have all got an interest in a company called THANET Health CIC. Now, this is registered with Companies House. It was set up in 2011, and the company's purpose is to sell services to the Clinical Commissioning Group. It says in the Articles of Association that's what it's been set up to do. So what you've got is 4 doctors who have got a business interest in THANET CIC Limited, who are also members of the Clinical Commissioning Board. So in effect, you've got 4 doctors who may very well take a decision to sell the services of the company that they've got an interest in back to themselves for a profit. CICs don't make profit as such, but the directors can take any fee that's agreed by their board. It stinks. There's no other way of describing it. It's corrupt and it stinks and it should be stopped. I'm not suggesting for a moment that the doctors on the THANET Clinical Commissioning Group are corrupt. I'm not suggesting for a moment that the lay members with conflict of interest are corrupt. But the possibility of mispractice, of mismanagement, of dodgy deals is that much stronger if you allow people with these conflicts to be on the board. How do we know that the members of the board of the THANET Clinical Commissioning Group don't have wives or husbands, sons, daughters, brothers, sisters who work for, who are senior members of companies that may be selling services to the Clinical Commissioning Group? We don't know that. I've looked at some other declaration of interest forms from other clinical commissioning groups, and they all appear to me to list the interests of close friends and spouses of board members. But for one reason or another, the THANET Clinical Commissioning Group doesn't seem to do that. Because at the end of the day, this organisation is dealing with £190 million of our money. And if there are opportunities there for unscrupulous board members to get dodgy deals done, to get business under the radar that benefits themselves or their families, we've got to plug those loopholes. You can't be careful enough with public money, as some of the issues in Thanet Council recently show. You've got to be very, very careful and very, very strict. And I don't think at the moment Thanet Clinical Commissioning Group is strict, is careful, or does have the structures in place to deal with these issues.